Hey, friends. I hope you are having the best day. Today, I want to talk about what creativity means to me. I had a few extra minutes to hop on here because both of my kids fell asleep today. I don't even know how that happened. At this point, it's one of those where it's like, okay, it's quiet time, it's nap time, but I don't ever actually expect them to fall asleep. So maybe it was the new moon. I don't know. Anywho, so let's talk about what creativity means to me. During this, if you guys have any comments or anything like that, please type them in. Say hey if you'd like. Um, yeah, so we can talk about it, right? So here's the thing about creativity is, and I'm just gonna talk about like my own experience. Um, I, for most of my life, have thought I am not creative. People would talk about creativity and I'm like, "No, I don't have any of that." I don't know what you're talking about, but I don't have any of that, right? And here's why. Let me tell you about what my definition, and if it resonates with you, you're like, "Yes, that's me." Let me know. Okay, so that I know I'm not the only one here, right? But for me, creativity, I never thought I was creative because in my world, creativity meant that you were like this fantastic artist, right? Like you could draw, you could paint, you could create pottery or sculptures or um, anything like that, right? And like you just had nonstop. Here's another thing too. It was like nonstop inspiration, right? So like people would be like, I'd be like, I'm not creative. Like I can't paint. Even to this day, like if you give me a canvas and a paintbrush and all of the art supplies, I will sit there and look at a blank canvas because I don't know what to paint, right? Like I have no like inspirational, like my sister, actually multiple sisters, like you give them a canvas and a paintbrush and paint and they just start going. Like they're like, I'm gonna do this, I think I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna add a flower here, right? Like they're like, I'm gonna do this flowery painting, or like I'm gonna do this seascape of the beach, and that is not me. Not me. Sorry, my dogs are barking in the background. Of course, you know why? Because my kids are sleeping, so my dogs feel the need to bark. Anywho, so like that was my definition of creativity. Like, can you draw? Can you paint? Do you have inspiration? And so, like, art class was not necessarily my favorite. And when I think about it, like, I don't even really remember art. Like, when I think about like elementary and things like that, I don't even really remember going to art, which tells you how much I disassociated myself with being creative, right? Um, and so many of you out there might have that same thought process of like, I'm not creative, right? But here's what I've learned, and this is where creativity has changed for me and why I wanted to talk about this, like what it means to me, because as I've gotten older, I've realized that my creativity is just a different outlet. Um, like, so when I was a teenager, give or take, I started scrapbooking. And that was really something where I was like, oh, I can do this, right? Like I can put the pictures on with the little frames and add some stickers and, add some jewels and embellishments. And that I like, right? So that was kind of my first hint into like, oh, You mean creativity is not just being able to draw or paint? Um, and then after that, I think for me, creativity, what it means for me is being able to create something, right? I mean, we have the word create in creativity, right? But I think what a lot of us think about when we think of creativity is like art, right? Like I'm only creative if I'm good at art. And that is totally not the case. So for me, I'm creative with like scrapbooking and picture layouts and like stickers and things like that. However, I also feel like I'm creative taking those skills and applying it in a digital sense. And basically what that means is like I feel like I get creative when being able to create something like a scrapbook in a digital format, right? So I use Canva a lot to just create things, right, in the online world. For example, like doing digital scrapbooks, doing the goals and gratitude journal, that was digitally. So being able to create online. I also realized that creativity is not just like I'm I'm not like I'm not a software engineer, okay? However, I know my way, like I can figure out my way around technology fairly easily. Like if you give me a new software program to use and you give me a few hours to figure it out, I'm probably going to be able to find some hacks and some tricks and like shortcuts fairly easily. And so for me, that's another piece of creativity, right? Being able to like look at a space and decide how it's going to look, like design, right? Interior design. That is not my wheelhouse, but it is a way of being creative, right? Being able to organize your house is a form of creativity in my world, right? So for me, and I would love to hear like what creativity means for you guys or if you've found any new avenues of creativity. Um because I think the word just gets associated with art class, right? And then what happens is we try to be creative and we try to create art, even if art is not like our thing. And then what happens is somebody like speaks death over us. And what I mean by that is somebody like not intentionally, but someone's like, "Oh, what is that? Is that a dog?" And you're like, "No, that's a horse." Right? Or like they just criticize our art. And then all of a sudden we internalize that and we learn from that. And what our inner voice starts telling us is you're not good at art, so you're not creative. Right? But I think it's so important to our souls and our well being and our happiness that we find a creative outlet, right? Because creativity allows us, and this is a whole other video that I'll talk on, so I'm not going to talk in it, but like creativity allows us to tap into our subconscious. It allows us to surrender and release problems. It allows us to get over overwhelm, right? So, like, it's important that we have a creative outlet. We just need to stop like trying to fit our creativity into a little checkbox that says art, that says drawing and painting. And of course, if your creativity is art, I'm by no means like bashing that. Like, that's fantastic. I'm a little jealous. You know, my mom paints, my sisters paint, my stepdad is an artist, all of the things, right? They're all artists. I did not get that form of creativity. My form of creativity is like digital processing. I don't know how else to say. Like scrapbooking, creating like creating digital worksheets, right? Like I taught for years and like that was my jam. Like you needed a worksheet, I could bust one out in like 10, 15 minutes, right? So I don't want to go too long, but that's kind of what creativity means to me. I would love to hear what creativity means for you guys. I know some of you might be like, creativity means like journaling and writing things down. Some of you creativity might be like exercising and like anybody who plays sports, like finding new moves, right? Dancing, anything like that. So I would love to hear like what creativity means for you and the things that you do as like a creative outlet, like cooking, all of the things, right? Like all of these things that we thought did not apply to us being creative, right? And we need to change that mindset because in order to, I'm going to say this last thing and then I'm going to let you guys go because I wanted to keep it under 10 minutes and I'm not because I'm talkative. We need to be able to find what is our creativity, right? What that means to us so that we can use it to stand out, to make our dreams happen, to find fulfillment, to have something that we can lean on when we're overwhelmed or our life is unbalanced or we just need a little me time, right? Our bodies want to be creative. Our minds want to be creative. We just have to find the right format, the right output, right? The right avenue, the right fit for us, right? Like we want our minds and spirits want to be creative. We just need to figure out the right fit for us so that we can nurture that and bloom in that area rather than suppress it and contract and get frustrated when we are standing in front of a blank canvas and we can't think of what to paint, right? All right. You guys have the best day. Again, I would love to hear what creativity means to you, all of the things. Before I let you go, in my group here, community, it's a Facebook community. Feel free. I like to give, self-care tips, taking care of yourself. There's some DIYs in there. And I just am so excited to hear about everyone's creativity so that we can incorporate even more into that and that we can share creativity with each other and bless each other in that way. Yeah. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, go ahead and hop in there. If not, no big deal. I'm not going to chase you around the internet or anything like that. Right. But amazing stuff happens in there. Okay. You guys have the best day. Yeah. And I will talk to you next time.